Hello everyone, welcome back to Netcode-Hub channel. I am Frederick, as you know, and I'm very happy to have you here today. In this video, we are going to look at how to create custom JWT authentication system in Blazor server, that is .NET 8, using interactive server render mode. So before we dive into it, this is what the system is going to look like. We're going to have our own custom system whereby user can register and also can log in. As soon as the user logs in, you have the token created in the same Blazor whereby you're going to expose an endpoint to it. After that, you're going to consume this endpoint in the various components and you're going to create a custom authentication state provider. Okay, so that's exactly what we're going to do. Then we consume this, and when making a call, maybe we can attach the token to the HTTP client before we make a call. Let's have a look so that you can understand this with a practical aspect. I do offer training session for people who are interested in Blazor and also .NET, Web API, and Blazor hybrid, and etc. So I have an email in the video description. You can just link me up through it. Okay, so let's see. Now make sure you have a Visual Studio last, and let's go in then and create project. This is going to be .NET 8. I believe you are aware. So click on create new project, and I'm going to select the template for that's the Blazor web app, this one. The name is going to be demo Blazor server JWT authentication. Let's click on next, and now here we're going to create a custom authentication system, so we don't need any here, right? You don't want to select the individual. We want to maintain what we have. The none, since we're going to create our own. The server, that's going to be the interactive render mode. Make sure you choose the server. And for the location, just leave it as it is, per page or global, anyone. Let's click on create to get this project created. So the next thing to do after the project creation is to install our NuGet packages, and that is what we're going to use to create these, talking about the identity models and also EF core, server, and also tools and other packages as well. We are not going to implement Identity Manager here. We're going to create our own one, so we need a mechanism to encrypt user password. By doing so, we're going to also install bcrypt.net.next. That is the package I'm going to use to encrypt password. So let's install these packages here. So this is what I'm going to do. Since I have the package references here, I'm going to click on this. But if you're not having the reference, you can just right click on dependencies, then go to manage NuGet packages, and I'll try to install them one after the other. I'll go to the project itself, then I'll unload this project. Then the package that I'm going to install here, first let me just have the item group. So we need the bcrypt.next, net.next. Wow. And now this is going to be for the server. So let's have a label here. There's a server. And now also we need a swashbuckle, since we're going to expose an API. So we want to get it used. We also need system.identitymodel.token.jwt, since that's what we're going to use to create the token. Aside from that, we also have to use Microsoft Identity Models.token. So let me also add this here. Okay. After that, we need EF core, tools, and now package. So EF core, SQL server, and now tools. And the last one for the server is we need Microsoft.es Netcode-Authentication.jwt bearer. We need that as well. So once you're done, we need to also include this Microsoft.asp netcode.component.authorization. This is going to give us access to cascading and authentication state provider in the component that you're going to consume the tokens. So let's have that here. You can have a label known as a client. This is going to be used by the server, and now this is going to be by the client. Okay, that's it. Pages I'm talking about. Okay. All right, so let's save this. And I think that's all that we need to install now. Maybe later on, in case we need any, we'll come back again and do that. Now save this, save everything. Go to solution, then right click on this, and I'll go to reload project with dependencies, and now the packages are being installed. Okay, so next to do here is, once you have the package installed, we quickly have to create our models and our DTOs for the login and also for registration. So let's create a folder here and I'll name it as models and also DTO. So we have our folder. So models or entity, that's fine. You can also create another one. You say DTOs. Okay, so let me make this as small s. And you know, DTOs what data transfer objects. Okay, so for our models, we only need one model. I think so, because since we're going to use for registration, we need only a model now. So let's add a class to this. And then the name of this class is going to be application user. In the application user class, we want to have just name, email, and password. Maybe you would like to add more properties to this. This is what you want to have for now. And also, let's go in there and create our DTOs. And now with the DTO, we're going to create a register DTO. That's what we're going to use to transport data from the user to this model, okay, to access the database. So, and this application must come to the models. I believe we've done that, okay. So you make sure you do the right thing. So this is supposed to be .models, not .dto. So that's .model. We have it here. Now I click on the DTO. Let's add a class. And now this is going to be register DTO. For the register DTO, we are going to have the following properties. We need an ID, and for the DTO, yeah, maybe we can decide maybe ID, since I'm not going to do any updates, so we can scrap off the ID. So we need the name, we need email address, password, and our confirmed password, right? So maybe let's also create the login DTO. So when you go to the login DTO, right click on this and add a new class to this login DTO. And now you know with this we are having email and our password, isn't it? Now when you check the register DTO, it has the same email and password. So we can remove this email and password from here, and we can inherit from this login DTO. Inheritance, yes, we can do this. Alright, so the next thing that we're going to do here is, after creating this, we need to have our custom user claims. This is the DTO that we're going to use to contain the token or the claims that we need. We need the username and our user email. So we want to create a specific model to handle that. So let's add that before we forget it. So we say custom user claims, and now this is just a record which has only the name and now the email. So this is going to be the claims. So we have two claims here. You could add more, but for now we maintain this two. We have a name, we have an email, and that's what we're going to use to populate or to create or generate the token. Aside from that, what else can we do again? Maybe we can have access to user session. User session, for now, we're going to have only one property in this. And now this user session is what we're going to use to maybe, well, what can we do here? For now, let's pause user session. And let's go in there and create our responses. So let me create a folder in here. And now we can name this folder as responses. So new folder, responses. And now with this responses, we're going to create one class. And this class is going to be custom responses. So it's going to be a class in here, custom responses. And now in that custom responses, we are going to have two records. I wanted to say two records, okay. So we have our flag for the first one, that's going to be for registration, and that is going to be for login. The difference here is the login has a JWT token, but the registration has no token property. Okay, I think our models and our entities, the DTOs are done. Let's go in and create our repo. So this repo is going to consist of our interface and the implementation. So let's create a folder to also handle this. I'm going to say repos. Here's a repository. Maybe you can just add the whole name, okay? Shortcut is the key. Okay, so I'll click on the repos. Let's add an interface to this, and then we're going to have two interfaces. So you click on the interface. The name is going to be iAccount. You can add another name. Okay, you can change the name. So in here we have the registration response, and you can see we have the login response, and each has this payload. Now we need to create the implementation, and that's going to be an account, isn't it? So let's create a class and then name it as an account. In the repos, add new class, and now here we say an account. And as usual, since it's going to have an interface and have this, you're going to implement the interface. So Control K, then implement this interface. We're going to create constructor and now inject the AppDB context. We're going to have access to a database, but you know we have not created this AppDB context. So how comes can we inject it? So let's do that. Right click, let's click, or let's add a new folder, and now this is going to be maybe data. In that, let's create this AppDB context class in it. So AppDB context class. And now once you have this class, what is the first thing that you're going to do? Since we have our DB context or EF core installed, we can now inherit from this DB context. This is coming from the entity framework core. The reason we are not getting this is, I could see we have some issue here. So let's build this application so we can update our dependencies here to get this package installed completely. So right click on this, go to build project, and you're going to restore packages. As you can see down here, we have a NuGet packages being restored. Now they are done. So if I click on period, still it is not. I have to have access to the entity framework core. Let's see. Okay, DB context is not. It's missing. Yes, I know. Alright, so now it is done. You can see now we have access to this. And we have to create a constructor and inject this, which inherit from the base. Aside from that, let's create a table to handle this, the data or the records of people who are going to register. So once you have this, a DB is ready. We can go back to our repo, account repo, and now here, control period, we can inject it here. That's fine. Configuration is what we're going to use to get access to our audience and now our token. No, our audience and now the issue and now the key. But we have not set that up. So we can do that from the appsetting.json. And now in that, we can just include this in there. So quickly, let's do that as an appsetting.json. I believe you found yours. Now, maybe down here, we can add this session. Okay, so appear twice, remove one. So we have JWT, you see, that is a section name, and we have this is a key. We have issuer, audience, and now we have the key itself. Okay, so this must be a random numbers or random strings. Okay, less than minimum is 16. Okay, so if you maximum, do I know the maximum? Okay, so minimum is 16, so you can actually add a lot in here. Now here we need a port. So to get a port solution, you go to the properties in here, line settings, and you can see from the HTTPS, you can see 7255. You can just grab this. You come here, and this is going to be the port. You're going to also have the same thing for the audience. Since you're going to have the same API in here, we're going to consume by ourselves. Okay, so we do that. All right, so let's create our connection string on top here. So we say it is a local. This is the database name. I'm going to say it is demo server DB. Then I have this transact connection and certificate set it through. Okay, so once you have this set, let's go back to the, what is that? Is it not the interface? No, there is a repository, the account repository. So in here, we go to register. So to register, first of all, we can just maybe find user. That is the best thing to do first. We want to check if user is available. We have to create a method. This must be an async, as you know, since you have a task. It must be an async. And control period, I can just simplify the name. I can remove everything. Now from this, you must create a method known as get user and pass in the email. This method is going to put down here so we can call it anytime, anywhere. Not anywhere within the scope. Okay, so here we are saying that first or default, get user.first or default, which has the same email as what we are passing through. So get the email. If it is not equal to null, it means user already exists. We won't allow the person to create an account. But in case it is null, it means the new person, and then we can enable this person or this guy to create a new account. So this is what we are doing. We are going to, this is a verified password. This is supposed to be encrypt password first, isn't it? So we have to add this. This must come in the login, the verified password. So appdb context.user. So the table, we're going to add a new application user, and now you're going to populate these three properties: name, email, and password. Now for the password, you see we are encrypting the password, we are hashing it, then restore. After that, we need to save changes and return. This is a very simple thing that we are doing. So here we await appdb context.save changes, and you know what you're doing is supposed to should come after this. Control KD, and now this method, as you can see from here, should come here. I don't want to mess things up. Okay, so this is how it's supposed to be. Alright, so we save changes and I return this through and success. Alright, so we have this set. Now for the login to, what can we do for the login? We are also going to find the same user. So let's do it here. So you know, we create one method and we are using it here and there, right? This must be an async as well, since you have a task. Then we now going to return response. We're going to return login or registration response. There's going to be login response, right? So in here we can just use this login response. Now the reason why this is set off and we don't have any error here is when you check the responses default, we have the default value. So if we don't set the value, it's going to be the default one. Now in case it is found, the email is found in there, we want to verify and see if the password are also same. Now if the password do match, we want to generate token. So we call this going to be a string form, generate token, and that's going to return the token to the user. So let's have a method to implement this token generation, and it is just simple. Do I say simple? Yeah, simple method to handle the token generation. Let me put it down here. So you can see generate token, then we pass in this application user, and that's exactly what we are getting from this find user. We can get this from here, so you pass into this method, and that's the method that we are calling in here. Now when it come here, we can see we are getting the key, and we are getting the issue and the audience. We set our claim, so we don't need even an ID here. We don't want to use an ID for the claim. You want to use only the name and the email. Okay, this is going to be for the claims. So from that, we have the expiry date for the tokens. It's supposed to be, we're pushing up to 2 days. Okay, that's my customized one. You can just set yours to 1 hour, 1 minute, or even some seconds. All right, then we're going to write a token in the form of a string and our return. Because you know the return type here is string, so we can catch it in here with a string, as you can see from this. And when it comes here, you can see our return new response, and you can see here is a string, as you can see from here. All right, so that's what we're going to do to create our token. You can see this is very simple, isn't it? And I believe you know how to do this, right? That's fine. Now the next thing to do here is we have to set up this to have access to controller. That's an API. So let's do that. We go to Solution Explorer, go to the program.cs file. First of all, we need to add controller. So build.services.add controllers. Aside from that, the next thing that we need to do here is we need to add the Swagger gen and specify in some option. And this is going to be my API. So you can just choose any name that you want the title and give it any version or so. Make sure the version of this and this version is the same. Okay. Then aside from that, what else can you do? Let's actually register our DB context. We are doing it together. We don't want to do this and do that. So we register a database connection string in here. And aside from that, we have to also register our JWT service, so we can have the token generated as soon as we try to log in. So as you can see, we add authentication, then we specify in this. Aside from that, we need to add our JWT bearer. And after adding the bearer, we need to specify some options in it. You can decide to skip this option, but they are very important. Okay, so don't skip. So we need to add, you see, add a JWT bearer, and these are the options. We have validate issuer, the audience, and remember that we've set this in the config file. So you can see we are getting them here. Valid issuer, valid audience. You can see we have a configuration. Then there's a session name, and that's a key. So we want to retrieve its value. Session name, key, and our its value. So the value is what we want to store it here. There is a key. We also want to use it, and here's the issuer sign-in key. All right. So once you're done, you know the service that we just created, the repo and the interface. No, the repo and interface. The repo is comprised of the interface, and the implementation, we need to create DI, that's dependency injection. So you can create a copy of this and attach it to this. Anywhere that we call this interface, it must go in with the repository. Okay. Aside from this, you know, we need to set up what again? For now, what can we do for now? Yes, let's try to include the middleware pipeline for this Swagger. So we can just navigate down here where you have this app.map. Then in here, let's map the Swagger, and that's the Swagger UI. And now in here, you can see your API name v1. So just add the API name. I intentionally made this so you can understand what actually meaning. So that is what that means to do to set up a controller or make this available, or yes, available to OpenAI. That's a Swagger. Once we have this set, what we need to do here is to perform database migration. But first of all, let's build it and see if everything is working as expected. Then we perform migration. Yes, as you can see, it is succeeded. So let's add migration. You go to package manager console from the tools section. If you're not having this tools, then manage NuGet packages, and then click on this package manager console. So add migration, and I'm going to say this is first. Now let's update the database. So update database. So this is done. As you can see, it is done. From this, we have a table created. I think only one table, because that's what we specified. Okay, so once you have this, what's the next thing to do? We need to create a controller so we can display this endpoint that we have as a repo in it. So in here, let's go to the solution. I'll click on the project, then add a new folder to this. And the name is going to be controllers. Then inside this controller, we need to, or we're going to create one controller class. Then here, the name of this is going to be an account controller. So this is not what you want, right? So it's supposed to be controller. So add controller. And now this must be an API empty one. And then going to be account controller. And you know, we have to also create constructor and then inject the repo that we created. That is the account service, not the account service. This must be an account repo. Yeah, so we have an account, and that is an account service. So maybe I can decide to change this to account repo, because you know we're going to also create a service here, and I don't want to confuse you guys. All right, so let's make this as account repo. Then Control K, you can include this. Now here we need for registration, so this is a very simple one. The endpoint is register. And now the next one too, we have the endpoint as login. You see? Very simple one. Now this is an account repo, no more account service, so you can make it as account repo. Save that. So once you have this set, we can run this and see if it's going to launch to our controller. So the app is ready. Now let's see. So here / then let's have Swagger and see if it's going to launch. Yes. So you can see we have our register, then we have the login. So you can see in our server we are having controller available. Okay. Now here this is going to work. Let's see if I click on execute this. Okay, so it is having a response code of 404. Why is it having 404? We have this password name. and I confirm password, execute this. Okay, so let's find out and see the reason. When you go to this repo that we have in here, and I register async, and now when you go to this account repo, where is it? Have you found yours? You go to the accounts, and now with the account, that is a register in here. So we inject our AppDB contest, then we are adding this, we save changes, and I will return this response. So let's check from this. If I click on inspect, and when we check from this section, click on execute, and you can see 404 we have from the header. Let's see. You can see we have this 7255 as a port, an API account, and a register. But let's see, we have to register the base address with this. So we have to do that from the program.cs. So let's come to the program.cs file. And now in that, let's specify the base address of this. And the base address, we can put it down here. And you know, this 7255, isn't it? If you're not sure yourself, please go to the line settings and make sure you do the right thing. So HTTPS 7255, grab this, go to the program, and now replace it with this one. Save this. So after doing this, we have to map the controller, and I think it's very important. And also we have to use authentication and authorization. So let's put it down here. You see, so map controllers, then use authentication and use authorization. All right, so now let's see. So let's navigate to the Swagger. Okay, so let's try to register an account there and see what we're going to have. So these are the credentials that we are passing in, the details that we are passing in: email, password, name, and I confirm mail. Confirm email. Yeah, you can see we have success, so the account is created. Now let's log in and see. So from login, let's see if we're going to have access to our token. Okay, so user already exists. Wow, are you creating another account? We are logging in, so why is it supposed to ask user already exists? Okay, so maybe there's an error in there. I believe you saw that, isn't it? Let's quickly check it out. So from this account, you know, from the login, let's check from the login. There is a login. So find user. If user is not equal to null, then user already exists. That's for login. And I think if user is null, user is okay. So it is supposed to be if user is equal to null, it means user is not found, right? So you can see user not found, not already exists, because you want the user to be in the database. You want it to be to exist. Yeah. So we have if it is equal to null. That is where you want to do that. Let's do it again and see. User already not found. User not found. Okay. So Swagger / Swagger, and now let's log in. Try this out, execute, and you must have the token here. Okay, so still loading. Yeah, so you can see we have a token. So this is our JWT token that has been created for us. All right. Now, once you have this token, how can we consume this in the component? How can we implement the custom authentication system and to get this done? Yes, let's have a look on that. Now, this token comprises of two claims. That is the email and the username. Remember that. The expiry date for this token is 2 days. As I did it, you can make it your own. Okay, so we have 2 days for this token. So it's not going to expire today. Maybe tomorrow next. Okay, so let's see. From here, we go to our app in there. Since we have our disk working, we can then close all this, close all tabs. The next thing that we're going to do here is we have to create a service to render this repo into the service. That's the pages. So right click on the project, add new folder. Before that, we have to terminate this. And this must be services. So in the services, we need to create an account service. It is the same interface that we are creating. So in here, we're going to say account service. Oh, it's supposed to be an interface, not a class. I believe we made that correction, right? Good. Then we're going to have the same thing as we had in the repo interface. So we have account service, register and login. Now the implementation is going to differ from what we have already. We have account service. So let's add a class to this. And this has to inherit from the interface. Yes, so we need to implement the interfaces in here. And you know, since we're going to make an API call, we need to include an HTTP client. Then from the login, we can just call the login using post async. Here you're posting to the login. And now for the register to, we are also making a post. You see? So post to the same thing, but here the difference here it is the route. There's an API account and a login. This one is an API account / register. Okay. So we have this set. Let's save this. Let's go to program and try to include or register this in there. So it can be found in the Solution Explorer. Then program. We have the first one is the interface, and then there's going to be a service. So service can be down here. These are service, account service, and account service repo. Now, aside from creating a service in here, what's the next thing to do? We have to create our custom auth states. So let's do that. Solution. Let's create a folder and I'll name it as maybe states, or what do you think? What should be the name? State will be okay for me. What of you? So let's have our custom auth states. So in here, let's create this class. Now, you know, custom auth states should inherit from authentication state provider. Control period, we need to implement this interface in it. And once you have this method implemented, the next thing that we're going to do here is let's create an instance of claims principal which has access to this claims identity. And in that, we want to first check, we're going to create a constant class. Now this constant class is going to handle the token that you're going to receive from the call, the API call. So let's copy this. Let's go to the same state folder. Right click on this. Let's add a new class. And it's going to be constant. Okay. So that's the name that I'm giving to mine. So maybe we can decide to also change yours. Now this constant has just a single property for now. You could populate this later on, but for now we have only one property as JWT token. Let's save this. So here, this is what we're doing. This must be an async. I believe you know that. Now we're checking if it is null. It means user is anonymous. There's no token stored. So here this user return anonymous. Anonymous means not logged in, not authenticated. Okay. But what if in case the user is now logged in? Not logged in, the user has the token stored in there. Then we want to decrypt the token because the token contains the claims. So we want to decrypt the token in here. And if it's equal to null, you want to return this. But trust me, As soon as it's not null, we're not going to decrypt and get null. But still, for checking sake, let's do that. And the next thing that we're going to do here, we're going to create a claim principal. Once you have the token, you have the claims set, we need to, once you have the claims retrieved from the token, we need to also set it to the claim principal. After doing that, then we call this authentication state, then we pass in the claim that we have retrieved. Then with this, we are using this try catch. Maybe in case you have any filter error, we want to use the try catch to handle that. Then, so in here, we have this, so control KD. Alright, now we have this, so in case everything is working, we're going to return this with the current claim that we have. We have two methods that we need to create. The first method that we need to talk about here, that is the setting of claim principal. So let me put it down here. Now set claim principal, so we pass in this custom user claim. Do you remember this method? If I peep this, it tells you that it has two properties, that's the name and the email. So when it receives it from here, we are going to set it to the claim. As you can see, you have the name and the email in here. And this is the name that we are giving or we're adding to our custom or state. Okay, the next thing we're going to do here is we're going to decrypt the token and now get access to the claims. So the next method here is going to actually do that. As you can see from here, we retrieve the claim, or there's a payload coming here. We check if it's not null, then we're going to retrieve it, get on the token, then read the name and read the email. After that, return a claim user claims. Claim user claims, custom user claims. That is comprised of the name and now the email. Okay, so that's what we're doing. But in case the user logs in for the first time, what you want to do, we want to set it up in there. So here, in case I log in or I log out, we want to call this method update and now set this in here. For now, we are not going to use local storage for now. We are setting the value, the token to the constant, the JWT token, which is going to handle that. So anytime that I want to make an API call, we call this class, which has a token. We can retrieve it and now put it to the header of the HTTP client. Then we can make a call with it. It's a very simple one. Okay. Then here we are also decrypting the token and I reset the same claim. Okay, now the claim that we set in here, we're going to assign, as soon as we set the claim, the response is going to handle with what? Claim principal. Then we set in here and now we can call this authentication state and pass in the claim principal. Very simple one. Else, we're going to set this to null. It means we're going to clear this. As soon as you clear this, we're going to reload this page. As soon as you're loading this page, this method is going to get hit. Now, when it gets hit, it's going to first check if this JWT token is null, then I'm going to return anonymous. So this system is still going to work, Okay, so we have a custom authentication system created. Let's go in there and now register this, create DI between this and the custom, not the authentication state provider. So we go to program.cs and now down here. So we have this Auth state provider, then we have a custom Auth state provider. After doing this, we need to use the cascading Auth state provider. So we can go to the, where is it? Where is it? I think it's found here. Data, we have a login, detail, model, state, and let's see. Where can we have access to our components? Routes, we need an apps.razor. Not the apps, rather routes. That in here, we need to include the cascading Auth state. So maybe on top here, we can put this cascading Auth state provider. Then at the end, we can close it up in here. Aside from that, this must be an authorized route view. So authorized route view. Okay. So in here, maybe we can say authorizing. What do you want to say? So authorizing, we can say maybe please wait. Okay, so we have this set. After doing this, let's go to solution. Then we check our component and layout. Because you have a nav menu, we want to actually put up maybe 2 links in here for register and login. So we have login and register, and you can see the reference here is login and our register, which tells you that you need to create component to handle that, isn't it? Yes, so that's exactly what we're going to do here. I have a very simple login page which has, I'm putting inside the pages, which has just a form. That's an edit form in here. It has this login modal and unvalid submit. You see login clicked. We have just an email and the password, and at the button type here is submit. When you check top here, it is for render mode and it is interactive server. Since it is a server render mode that project that we are using. Okay, now where from all this? Okay, so this is the namespaces that we need. I think there's going to be demos. Demo Blazor server authentication, I think so. Or let's take the name here. We need to demo Blazor server JWT Authentication. Okay, now we go back to the login page. So do we have this? You have that. This, that. Yes. So we have the services, and that's the folder which comprises our services. We have our DTOs, you know what it contains. Responses, you know what it contains. State, you know what it contains. And address authorization, which is giving access to this authentication state provider. So to do this, you can just move all this straight. Then we can solution. Let's go to the import, and down here, let's paste it here. Okay, so all these have been injected, and we can use this. We have account service, and we can use this in here. So when you go to our login, very simple one. It's not simple. Yes, all these are going to be solved now. Yeah, so that is it. Now login response, control period. I think this should come from login response. Okay, so this is also solved, and we can move this to the same import. I think so. This is going to work, right? Yes, it will work. So we have this. When this button is being called, when this method is being called, you can see we call the service in here. You pass in the response. You check if it is true. If it is false, you want to alert it. But in case it is not, then we are going to call a custom auth state in here. This is going to be the instance of the authentication state provider that we created. Then in that, there's a method known as update auth state. We pass in the token that we have retrieved or received from an API. Aside from that, we navigate to this, then we force load the page so that the authentication system can work. Okay, that's what we are doing. Now with this, I think solved. Let's run this and see for the login. But here it's going to log in, but we are not able to see unless maybe you have a mechanism to display. Okay, so maybe we can just navigate to the home. Let's see from the solution. Let's go to this is the home, and that's the home page, isn't it? Now inside this home, maybe we can have something similar, or maybe an authorized view displayed here, so that as soon as we are logged in, we can see something. All right, we want to see something, so let's add it here. So you can see we have this context.user.identity.name. We want to return the name, and I say welcome. In case you are not logged in. So save this, and has it refreshed? Nope, unless we reload it again. So let's see. Reload it. As soon as the page loads, you can see you are not logged in. Now let's see. So if I click on this login, then we use this email at example.com, and that is the string that we use, right? So if I click on login, let's see the response here. So we wait and see. Yes, so hi string welcome. So you can see we've been able to log in, isn't it? Yes. So we have it in here. Then if I go to this, our source, go to the constant class, and now let's have a breakpoint here. All right. Now let's see if we try to reload this. Let's check it up and see if we can have access to a token. So I'll just try to reload this. Then let's see. So you can see this is a token. Everything that has been stored in here. So for the use or for the entire use of this application by the user, this token is going to have the variable. This property is going to have a variable that's going to be what? The token. Now this value here, no, it's value, isn't it? The variable is what you see here. The value, it is a token itself. So this variable has its value, and this value is going to be stored. So anytime I want to make a call, we can call this and now get this token in here. Isn't that beautiful? Very simple as well, isn't it? Yes. The next thing I'm going to do here is, what of the registration system? Can I create a form to do that? I believe you can do it. So let's continue on. Click on this. I'm going to stop this. Then I give you 2 minutes. Work on the registration, and now let's see. If you couldn't, then let's continue on and I'll do it together. And I believe you can do that. So try your hands on it, and now let's see. So were you able to do it? Now let's see. You just have to go to the same. I'm going to just make a copy of it, you know. So let's see. You have the login, and I'm going to make a copy and I'll paste it here and change this to register. Right? Very simple one. So I'm going to clear this, and here register page. Now the route is going to be what? Register. And now in here, instead of the login, it's going to be register. So register clicked, and let's change this to register. When you come down here, we just change this to register. Not a register, not this one. And here must be register DTO. And we can say this is register. Now register response. So here it's going to be registration. Registration response is equal to, then we're going to register async, and I'm passing the model. So you can see it is the same thing that we are doing. Down here we need not to, okay, we can check. Okay, so if it is false, then return the message, but if it is true, maybe we can just make a copy of it. The same thing here. And before we return, we want to clear this container. So you want to say that there is register equal to new, so we can clear the container. Alright, that's what we're doing. Maybe you can navigate to the page, the login page, but well, you can also decide to leave it there. So let's leave it here. So here for this register model, let's say this is a register model. Now with this model that we have in here, we have name first, isn't it? So we can just make a copy of this in here, and on top we can put it MD must be 3, margin top, let's set it 3. And now this is not email address, rather it is what? Good job. So that's name. So there's going to be name in here. We have email, we have password, and we can have another one, and this is going to be confirm password. So here we can say that confirm password, and now this is going to be same. That is it. Very simple. Okay, so instead of the login, instead of this, you know, we have to change this to register, and now here to register, here also register, and that is it. I believe we've done the same, right? Good. So that's what that we can do for now. Let's save this. Let's run this too and see if this is also going to work. So you want to log in, you want to register, and also log in. Then you're going to have access to our token. You're going to store that, call an API. Then we're going to add the token to the header, and that is all. So let's wait. Yeah, so it is ready. You log out, we know. So let's go to, that is a register. So click on this register. Okay, so 404 register. Let's see the route. Here it is, register. And I think, let's grab this. So login, that is a login. Let's see the register. Okay, I believe we didn't do this, right? You wrote the correct one. That's good. Let's see. Register still. Yeah, we have it because we need to refresh. I thought reload is working. Hot reload is working, not knowing it is not. So let's refresh it manually. Then we can test it up and see. Yeah, reload it. Click on register. We must have the form. Yeah, that is it. So this is our form. Now let's fill in something and see. So I'm going to say this is Netcode-Hub. Okay, the channel has been added already. That's great. And I'm going to say user 1. Then password and password is the same. If I decide to put in this, you see password do not match. So I make sure it's the same string here. Click on register. Oh, you're supposed to register because we have login. Now let's wait. A call has been made. Let's wait until so success, right? You see, as soon as I click on OK, this content is going to be cleared because yes, it is cleared. Now we can log in. So let's go to login. Log in with the same one, and that's going to be the user 1, the same password. Let's log in and see. So hi, Netcode-Hub channel, welcome. So you see this is working, isn't it? Our token has been stored. Now let's have one form, and that's going to be the is it the weather forecast? I think so. So we can use that to test this app. So let's create an HTTP contest, or that's an HTTP client. We create our weather forecast component. Then we're going to make a call, attach this to the header, and that is all. So I'm going to, let's close this up. Let's actually stop this. Let's go to this solution, and I can see from here we have this weather, right? So now with this weather, we can just navigate this. So just streaming. Let's go to the import. Is it the import? No, not the import. Let's go to nav menu, and in here, let's make a copy of this. And now let's add it as weather. So here we can say this is weather. Now we are navigating to the same weather, but with this we want to have this authorized view, and this is going to work when you are authorized. So you're going to see this only when you are authorized. If you're not authorized, then bye-bye. You're not going to see this. Trust me. Yeah. So weather. Now let's go to the page we have for weather component, and that is this one. Okay. So in here, maybe we can just add it to this account service, right? The interface. So before that, when you go to the weather component, there's a model here, so we can cut this model, or we can just copy this quickly. We go to our, let's put inside the DTO, isn't it? So the DTO, add a new class, and now this is going to be weather forecast. In our weather forecast, we go to the weather component, and I'll try to cut this, and instead of having here as private, this is going to be what? Public. That is fine. Okay, now let's go to the weather page in here, and with this we are going to move all this. So with this, I'm going to move this. Let's cut this from here. Let's go to the controller, and where actually is the controller? Have you found yours? That is this one, right? So we're going to make a copy in here, and it's going to be HTTP get, and now let's give it a route. We say this is weather. Then we have this public. Let's make it an action result, or maybe an action result will be okay. Then here let's have this weather forecast. Let's make it an array. Then we're going to be the name, that is get weather forecast. Okay, let's paste this here. So instead of this, we're going to say return okay. Return okay. Is that so? Then in here, let's close that. Yes, we want to return weather forecast, and that is it. Let's save this. Okay, so even when we test an API, when we test this, let's see if we can have access to this weather forecast in our API. So let's see from here. If I click on, oh, we are not seeing the weather because you are not logged in. So let's go to Swagger, and we have our weather. Click on try this out, execute this. Yes, and because we have this weather, right? That's fine. So this is working. Now let's try to consume this. So we're going to implement that in the service interface that we created, you and I created together. And do you know where it is? I found mine here. Can you also find yours? Now this is supposed to be a task, and here's going to be weather forecast. And you know this is going to be an array, and let's say this is get weather forecast. It needs no parameter. Control KD save. Let's save that as well. Let's go to the account service, and we need to implement this. So control period implement this interface. Now with this we can let's remove this. Now it has been implemented down here. Where is it? Okay, so get this weather, and we can just make a copy of this, isn't it? Or we can just one line can help. Who can solve this? Let's say this is going to be an await, right? Then say I'm not to say appdb context, not knowing we are on the data access layer. So AG client dot this is get from JSON async, and this is going to be forecast. Oh, weather forecast. I nearly forgot it. This must be a list. Then in here it is an API slash account. Okay, slash. Then we have our weather. Very simple one. So we can, yes, I think so. Yeah, so that's what we want to do. Well, one of course is going to actually help us complete it. So API account and a login. So you can see we have the same thing. So maybe we can extract this and now use. We can extract this API as account. Now maybe we can have private constant string. Okay, then we say this base URL. Is it URL? Right. Now let's paste this here. Then from this base we can just use it in here. So instead of calling this, we could call something like this. So string interpolation, put the $sign here, then in that paste this. Now we can just grab this, and in here we can replace it. You can replace this too. Yes, so that's what we want to do. Very simple one. Okay, so once you have this, what is the next thing? Again, we have this call. So we go to weather.razor, and we have this class injected, that is service injected. So in here, this is what we're going to do when the page initializes. We don't want to delay any task. We want to say this weather forecast. So this forecast equal to await account service dot get weather forecast, isn't it? Yes, very simple one. So that's exactly what we are doing. And you know what, this can be in this form. So control KD, let's save that, and let's see. So if I run this is going to work, but we don't have any button to navigate to. But as soon as you try to navigate to this weather, you're going to have access to this. Let's wait and see. So you can see there's no button here because you're not authorized. Now let's click on this, and I'm going to say weather. Now see, loading, because we have the weather in here. Because this call is made while the user is not authenticated. Okay, let's try to authenticate this and see. So have the same user one login, and we must see that guy here. Yes, so you can see we have it. Have you found it? That's right. So if I click on this, I'm still getting it. Okay, so this is what we're gonna do. We go to the API from this controller, and down here we can, from this we can allow anonymous, so anybody can have access to this. The same method applies to this, because when logging in we don't need anything, but as soon as we get to this weather, you must be authorized, right? If you're not authorized, you can never have access to this. Trust me. Let's try that and see. So from the controller endpoint, from the API endpoint, you're going to test this, and from our app you're going to test this whilst you're not logged in yet. So let's see. So let's navigate to the Swagger, and here it should give us 401. As soon as we try to access this, 401 meaning unauthorized. Let's see. Yes, 401, that's unauthorized, and that is a 401. Okay, now let's see. Let's try to navigate to the same page from the app section, the front end, and maybe you want to pack the back door. Back door. Let's pass in this weather forecast, And you can see we have it here, 401. Have you found it? Yes, response status code does not indicate success, 401, and that means unauthorized. So we can never have access to unless we authenticated. But trust me, see, if I log in here and I click on login, although I am logged in, yes, we wait for it to get loaded. Yeah, we are logged in. Click on weather forecast and we still have it. Do you know the reason why? Okay, so don't be surprised because we have not added the header, the token to the header of the HTTP client. That's the reason why we have this. So quickly we can do that very simple way. Remember that here, before we call this, we call, no, not here. I don't want to confuse you. Okay, not here. Forget about this. Let's go to the account service. You can see we're using HTTP client here, right? So before we do that, we're going to say that HTTP client dot default header dot authorization is equal to, you're gonna have system.net dot, so new, oh, it is not coming. Okay, yes, system.net dot header. Then in here we need to specify, let me actually make it in this form. Now if I open the first one that's supposed to handle is the scheme, and you need a scheme that is a bearer, and now the parameter is what? So we want to add, which one? Do you know? That is constant dot JWT token. But before we do this, actually, don't you think we have to check? So if string or if constant dot JWT token is equal to this, then return. So do not call it this API, this endpoint at all. It's going to return this. But if not, so return, this will be null. Yes. Okay. So return null. But in case it is not, that is where we call this. Now let's see here. Click on reload this page, and now let's check it out. Now this is ready, so let's log in. Log in here. Whoa, yeah, it is back. So we log in here, and let's wait and see for us to get this guy. Okay, so right click and go to inspect. But this, since it's a server, you're not going to see the call that's going to make in here. Click on, okay, let's try and see. I'm going to clear all this. Click, oh yeah, it's still here. See what it's doing. I'm going to clear again. Is it coming? Okay, so click on this weather, and now, okay, so we still have this version unauthorized. Let's see the call that is making. That is the call. Do you have any header attached? Okay, so we have no header. We're just making the call. Let's try this again. So get this weather forecast. We are not getting this. We have the cookie. That's what we want. Okay, so let's see. This is what we're gonna do. We can just put a breakpoint here. Okay, so let's see. Before we do that, let's put a breakpoint here. Then let's put a breakpoint here, and down here. Now let's go to the page, and I'll click on weather. You see that this is not even called at all, because weather razor, it is just streaming. And let's check it out from this, calling of this from the navbar. Okay, so let's see when we navigate to this page. Okay, so let's see. We're making a call. When the page initializes, we want to call this access get weather forecast. And let's try this again. Click on this. It gets hits. So let's see. We have our HTTP client. That is 7.255. There's a header. So for the header, do we have authorization? So this is null. Oh, okay, so it means it is not working now. Let's see. So if I put breakpoint to the account service here, oh, see what? See, I know you've done the right thing, right? This is a register. We want to call the weather forecast and see what we've done. Oh, okay, so no problem. You can just move this very simple way. Cut this like that, and now where we have the weather forecast, this is supposed to be, you must push this as a method. Okay, down on top here, let's paste this. Then we say return. I think I just hit on this. No, edit code. So here I'm gonna say return await HTTP client dot get async and etc. Yes, so here this is gonna work. Let's save this. Let's reload this again, and now let's check it out. Okay, so let's log in again, and I'm sure by this time around this must work. Now let's see. So once we log in, okay, so get weather forecast. If I click on this, maybe network tab, I'm gonna click on weather, and you can see here we have it. You see? So do you have the token here? But we are not having the call. The call is not shown. Yes, since the server that's call isn't shown, but we see we have this here, right? So it means that the token has been added to the header. If you want to try that, let's see, let's put a breakpoint in there. Let's go to the account service. Now here I'm going to put a breakpoint, right? Let's go to the page. Let's even try to reload this, and now let's see, the breakpoint is going to be hit. Now if it is hit, click on this HTTP client, and now check it out. You see we have the header, and that has been added in here. So the code that's going to make this header has been appended up to. The expiry date, do you remember? 2 days, so we still have a lot of days to do it. Yeah, we are going to look at how to implement role-based authorization and refresh token support. So let's first look at how to implement refresh token. Then we talk about how to also add role authorization. You know, when using JWT authentication, the server becomes stateless. What do I mean by that? It means that it doesn't store any information related to the client or the user. When the user makes a request, all the necessary information that needed to identify or process a request of that client has to be included. It must be found in the token. That is the reason why we're going to use a JWT token. So the token here that we created earlier on contains the username and now the user email. These are the claims, right? In this video, we're also going to add role as well. I'm going to authenticate the user based on the role in the client section. That's a component. We can also do same in the API section as well to make it secured. So the very first thing that we're going to do here is, we're going to post the token to the server anytime the token expires. The token contains all the claims. We don't want to store client claims in a database. You don't want to waste our database like that. Okay, because everything is found inside the token. So when we get a token, we can extract these claims from it and now use these claims to regenerate another token and now send to the client. That is what we are doing. There are other ways of making this happen. But in this case, we want to extract the claims from the token. There's the expire token. And now based on these claims, you're going to generate a new token and now send it or give it to the client for the client to add it to the HTTP header anytime that you want to make a request to our server. I believe this is clear. Are you sure? Okay. So for us to do that, since sending or communicating from a client to the server, we want to actually make it as a post request. Okay. So let's create a model which is going to handle the expire token. So keep it in mind, this model we're going to create here is going to handle as what? An expire token. So I'm going to close this up. Then we go to our solution. Now in here you can see we have a DTO. So let's create one class here to handle that. And you can give it any name that you like. If it suits with the context of the app that you're doing, you can make that work. So here, let me name it as maybe user session. Well, so in that we can have one property, and with this, let me increase here, it's going to be what, JWT token. So this is the property that we have. So this is going to handle the expire token. You can also name this as expire JWT token, whatever. It's still going to work. Okay, so now let's save this. Now let's go to our solution. You can see we created a repo which comprises of our interface and an implementation, which is the data access layer, which gets connected to a database and I make some queries and etc. If you've seen yours, go to the repos folder because we have this interface account and the account repository. From the interface, we want to add one interface here, and that is what we're going to be using to make a call, or we're going to call to get at the refresh token. So here, you know, when you log in, this login response here, if I peep this, it has some properties that I'm going to use to populate. That is a flag. We have message, we have the token in here. Okay, so when we call refresh token, we're also going to return flag, going to return message. Maybe when we have any supplementary message, we want to return that. And we need the most important thing here is the JWT token. Okay, so we're going to do same here. But since we're not going to have any access to database, we are not using the task. Okay, it is not in connection with database. Here, we have the system to generate the token, so we don't have to get connected to database and do anything. And take note, we are not also storing this token in the database. All right, because the reason why we are not storing here is, I know maybe you'll be asking this question. The reason why we are not storing this here is the token comprises of all the information that we need, the server needs to authenticate that user. So we need not to store the same information again, so we can just cross-check. No, we can check it based on the token we are going to receive. So we don't have to do duplication of data. We don't have to put it in, keep it, and I'll be going through in that again. But well, if you want to do it, you can go ahead and also create a table to handle a token or the JWT token that you're going to create. But take note, don't do that. Okay, don't waste your server or don't waste your space. Okay, so once you have this, let's save. Let's go to the implementation. And when you go to the account, we have to implement this interface. So control period, we can implement the interface in here. Okay, so that's the interface. We have the definition that we're going to write some logic in here to get us the token. You know, we are going to, now this module here contains the JWT token. So how would we receive here? We're going to make a post request, isn't it? Now, for example, let's say we have the token at hand. What can we do? We're going to extract the claims from the token, isn't it? And do you have a mechanism to extract claims from token? Yes, we do. If you've watched the previous video, we created one method or one class to handle that. So this is what we're going to do. Since we have that class, we don't want to copy and paste it in here. We want to follow a dry principle. Do not repeat yourself. So the best thing to do here is to create it as a class. Then we can register it to create dependency injection, or we can not even use dependency injection. We can just keep it in a static class. Then we can now make it referred, or we can reference it in here and now use it. Very small class, so you can actually do that. So let's quickly go to maybe in our constant. You know, we have a constant folder created. Where is it? Yes. Whoa, I can't find mine. Have you found yours? So we have it here, DTO, so there's a constant. We have app state. Yeah, so that's our state. So from this state, we have this constant, right? So you want to right click this, then create. Let's create a class and I'll name it as decrypt JWT token service. So this service is going to be responsible for doing that. Okay. Go to custom, auth state provider, and now there's a class. I hope you've seen this. We're going to move this class from here, cut it straight away. And cut it and don't throw it away. Please hold it on. So save this, go to the service in here, then paste this up, right? This must be public, as you know. Since you want to have access to it globally, you want to do that. And here, let's make it as static so that it instance will be created once and we can use for the entire application. So, oh, it must be public, see? Public as well. All right. So we have this custom claims, going to return a custom claims, which has, if I pip this, it's comprised of the name, the email, right? So see, it has the name and then the email. Later on, we're going to add a row to this, but for now, let's maintain what we have in here. Now we're going to check if the token here is null, we want to return. But in case it is, and we know it will never return null because here it is computer to computer communication. There's no human being involvement here. All right. So here we're going to take the token and we're going to extract the name and the email and I return to this return type. Right. So once you have this, let's go to the customer state, but make sure you save this customer state. And definitely you're going to have an error here, isn't it? Yes. So here I'm going to say that decrypt token service. I can just copy this. Then in here, let me paste it and I add a service to it. Then dot send is a static. We can have this method in here. Control period. Whoa, you're not having decrypt token service. Oh, yeah, this one is JWT. So JWT service. Yeah, that's fine. We got it. Now let's go in there and replace it with all the method that has this. Now this can be changes can be void, so no async in here. Can have a void method, and with this we can implement dots. That's fine. Set what again? Yes. So we are done with this. So let's go in there and now use the same class, the same static class in the controller. This is a controller. That is our implementation or the repo. Okay. So we're going to first do some small magic in here to get this token created. What are we doing? See what we are doing. We got to create this variable as an instance of this custom user, and you can say decrypt token JWT service dot decrypt token. Then you pass in the token in here, isn't it? Good. Aside from that, we get a new token, then call this new token, and prepare this because you know this token has to do with what? Application user. Check. You could say we need an application user, and that's what we also pass in here. Now this token here, generate token, that is a method. Where is it? There's it. You know, have you seen the payload here? So we need an application user, and you have to specify that. For now, we are not adding row, so we come back to the row later on. Let me just clear this off. We have only two properties in here, name and our email, isn't it? Good. So this small method here is going to generate a token for us. We are not storing anything in the database because anytime there's a request in there, we can make a check and see the kind of person the request is, right? We can do that from solution. You go to app.json, and we can do that by the help of this key. So this is a private key that you should never give to anybody. Even when you're dying, don't give it to anybody, okay? So this key is what we're going to use to encrypt the token, and that is what we're going to use to decrypt and now check or verify. So our token is secured. All right, good. Then we have to get claims from this, and now set claims to this, you know. Oh, we're not talking about this. We're talking about the account repo. So we return this as new token, then we pass in the new token from this generate token class called. Very simple one. Once you have this, let's implement this in that's the account controller. Let's have this set in there. So what do? You go to solution, then find out the controllers folder, and there's a controller called accounts. We created this in the previous video. So controller, then account controller, then in here we are going to create another one. So let's put another one here. You see? So you put this here. Now remember that this is going to be anonymous because if you make this unauthorized, it means that before you can have access to this method, you must have an active or unexpired token. We call this when the token is expired, right? So it's an opposite way. So we have to make it an anonymous so that everybody can have access to, but it's not going to be accessed by humans through a call, API call by the system. That's what we're going to call this endpoint. Okay, we have our weather in here, and that is it. Okay, so when we save this, Let's try to test this out in the controller. Then we talk about how to create service, and I consume this in the client. If I say the client, I'm talking about the component, the razor component. I believe this is good, isn't it? Very simple. Let's run this and see. So the app is ready, but we want to access the Swagger. So this is what we need. We have a refresh token, and that's exactly what you see in here. But if you click on this, the payload needs a token. We are not having the token, so if I pass in anything, see, and I click on execute, is this the token? Let's find out and see the response of the system. So you can see it is still loading, meaning it tells you that there's an issue in here. Let's go in there and check it out. So if I go to the app, yes, you can see we have this token in here. Once it tries to read, it tells you that the token JWT, it is not well formed. This is an exception. You see? So we can even handle this. We'll try catch block. Maybe invalid token, etc. I can do that, isn't it? Good. You see? So that's what we want to do. So here, let's have a try catch block. So instead of waiting for the app to get its own message, we want to customize this message, isn't it? So try catch. Then in this try catch, we want to return this. You know, they custom this. So maybe we can just throw an exception, or this you can return null. You see? Okay, so when you have any issue here, we try to catch it and I return null. It means it couldn't decrypt the token, and it tells you that you're going to have an error here. Let me save this up again, and now let's try to run this, and I'll see if we're going to have a fine output than maybe getting this, what we got earlier on. Okay, so let's check it up from the refresh token. If I click on try this out, I can pass in this, or let's say this is a token, so train token that has been added in here. Click on execute. Let's assume this is a token and let's see what's going to happen. So click on this and I see the response. It's also incorrect to a token. Now we don't have any exception again. We've handled the exception and an incorrect token. But do you have any idea what I did for us to get this? Can you do it? Okay, let's see. Now it's very simple. You know, from here we call this, we use try and catch to handle this and return null. So we check from the call from the controller, not from the controller. Is it from the controller? No, it is not. From the service, that's an account implementation, we check if it is null, meaning when it catches the exception, it's going to return null. So we're checking if it is null, then return incorrect token. In case it isn't, then you can now go ahead and now do this magic in here. Okay, so let's say this, we're going to pass in the correct token, and now let's see if we're going to generate a new token for us. And we're going to check to see the claims that we have. If the new token is going to be generated, we're going to also check the claims as well. So let's see if this open up. We can now check. Alright, so we have it's set here. As you can see, incorrect token. Now we go to log in, log user in, user at example, and I'll click on execute. Now we wait. So here you're going to just copy this token and now put it a refresh token. We did not implement a mechanism where it's going to check, is the token coming in here, is it expired or not? Okay, we are not checking because this system is going to be handled by user. Anytime we have 401, that is where we want to call this. So when we have a status code of 401 from an API call, it automatically tells you that the token has expired, and that is exactly when we want to call this. If you are to implement it from an API endpoint like this, then we should have created and checked if the token has expired or not. But since it's going to be expired, we don't want to do it again. We don't do it anymore. So because it's going to be expired, and it calls when the token expired. Okay, this is a token. Let's grab this. So now let's go to JWT.io so we can decrypt the token and now see the claims. Okay, so let's clear this. Let's paste our token in here and now check it out. The name is what? String, right? Check here. This is the expiry date. It tells you that it is Sunday, January 21st, 2024 at 17:15 GMT. That's the expiry date. This is the issuer 7255. That's our port, as you can see from here, 7255. And we have the same for the audience, isn't it? Good. Now you can see we have the claims we have name in here, and we have the email address. That's the second one, and the email address in here, isn't it? So we're going to extract this to generate a new token for us. Now let's go to the same controller. We have this copied. We can just close this. Let's go to the first token. Let's paste this token in here. Then paste like this. Then click on execute. Now check this ends with J0. Now check the new one that has been created. It ends with JUK, isn't it? Let's grab this also. Copy this. Go to the app. Now let's clear this. This ends with J0. The new one ends with JUK. See? We paste this one JUK. Now check it out. The same email, the same string. Now check the expiry date. You can see the same Sunday 21st, but this time right 1720. You see? So 20 and 04. So here we are adding the expiry date is what? We can actually check for the expiry date in here from this account, you know, where we generate the token, generate token, and in here you can see add 2 days. Okay, so when we call this, it's going to add 2 days to it, to the current day, and that's going to be the expiry date, isn't it? Okay, now let's check it up and see if the expiry date corresponds with what we're going to create now. So let's say this, we're going to for 2 days, and that's going to be 21st, isn't it? So when you check the expiry date, it's going to be 21st, January 21st. And now if today's date is 19th, so 19 plus 2 is going to be what? 21st, isn't it? Yes, so that is it. Now you see we have a date also working. So you can see we have the same claims and being set up in here. And if the token had expired, this expiry date should have been or could have been increased to 2 days. But since it is the same day that I am calling this, we have the same 2 days added. That's fine. So this is working perfectly. Okay, so we have new token. Then how can we consume this in the client service so we can get this token, remove the old one, and now append this new token to the header? Let's have a look on how to handle that as well. So let's close this up. Okay. Now we can clear all this. So save. Then let's go to solution. We go to the service that we created earlier on. So from the services folder, we have the interface, so iAccount service. We're going to make a request to an API. So we need refresh token request, and there's going to be an interface that we need to create. Maybe let's put it in between. So we have a task. Now since it's going to use an HTTP client, that is why we're going to make this as a task, because it's going to make a call to an API. Aside from having this, we pass in a user session model, and as you know, we did this earlier on. Close this. Then I'll save that, not close, save it. And go to the interface for the account service. And you know what? You have to implement this. I believe you've done it already, isn't it? Or you're doing it now. Then do it as I do. So there is a refresh token method. And in here, we're going to make a call to an endpoint. Okay. And our endpoint, the controller that we created was account controller. So as you can see from this, you have to make a point, make a call to this endpoint, as you can see from here. Okay, so we can have a copy of this, and I'll paste it in here. So you can see we have post as JSON async. We pass in a base URL and / refresh token. Then we pass in our model. That's this model coming in, right? This must be an async. Then we read from the login response, and I return this. This is all that we need. Now, once you're done with this, what can we do again? let's say when we make a call to this, a token has expired. How can we get this refresh token and now assign it to the header before we make another call? Let's have a look on that. But for now, let's say go to solution, then we go to our account repo. Okay, so in here from the token or the token generation, we don't want to say add 2 days. Maybe we can just add minute. So add minute, and you want to say maybe 10 or 15 or 20 or etc. All right, so we can make it 5 or 2. Okay, now let's save this. So anytime a token is being generated, it's going to be append 2 minutes, and that's going to be the expiry date. Fine. So after 2 minutes exceeds, the token has expired. And if you want to make a call with it, you can do it. But for now, let's go to the account service. And you know, when we check from the weather forecast, it adds the token to the header, then it makes a call with it, isn't it? Now, when we make a call with it in here, and it returns 401 as unauthorized, it tells you that the token has now expired. In this case, what can we do? When we have another method, do you have to copy add the header again, then be repeating ourselves? No, we want to follow the drive principle. We don't want to repeat ourselves all the time. So can we have one generic class that we can use to append header to the token? No, append token to the header of the client. Then we can now make a call, and in case it returns the response of 401 as status code, can we also have another method to call a refresh token? So we can use this method in all our calls that you're going to be make. There are several ways of doing this. One, you can create an HTTP handler to handle this, or you can implement this in here. If you want to check, or if you want to know how to use the handler, I've made a video already on that, so I'll check that and I'll put that in the description. But for now, let's focus on the simple way. Okay, that's what you want to focus now. So here we can create a method. Since we're going to use for only this, maybe we can put it here so we can associate it with it well. We have this private void get protected client, and now here we're going to check if constant.jwt token is equal to null. It means here we want to return. So even when we call this method, we're going to return. And now if when it returns, it tells you that the HTTP client here has no header, meaning the token is null, so it has nothing to be appended on. Okay, but in case it has data in there, or it has value, then add it to the header. As you can see, that's a bearer. Add it to the HTTP client header in the form of authorization. Good. And as soon as it does that, you're going to have this client in a header form. So this client is going to contain a header that's going to be authorization. Then you can now make a call with this. Okay. Aside from that, when we make a call, we want to also check if maybe the call or the response here, it is unauthorized or it is not authorized. So this is what we are doing. We're going to pass in an HTTP response message, and that's going to be the instance. And now we're going to check if the status code here it is 401, that is unauthorized. You can see from here. They want to return true. I also want to return false. We only want to check. We only want to call or get a refresh token when the response status code is 401 only. Okay, so if it is true, it means the code is 401 and it means the token has expired. Then we can call the refresh token. Okay, then how do we make a call to the refresh token? It is also very simple. We are going to call this refresh token in here. So let's put it down here. So we call this refresh token get refresh token, and it's a task. And since we are going to communicate with the API, we're going to make it as a task, and it should be an async. So you can see post as async refresh token. Then we need to provide the user session, and that's exactly what we are doing here. So user session is equal to this JWT token here is equal to the constant, the token that we have. So from that, we're going to read response and assign the token here to the response token that's coming from the API. Very simple one. Okay, so we have these three methods in here. How can we use them? Since we have only one method that is using this private token, let's try to use this in there. Okay, So the first thing that we're going to do here is we want to remove the since we have checked this, and we have also added to the header. We can use it. So first of all, we're going to get the protected client. So get it means it's going to come to this method. Check if this is not, then return. So when this method executes, and now it could be in a two-way. The HTTP client could have a token, and it could also have what token. So anyway or anyhow it's still going to execute that. Now in case it has token, they're going to use the token in here and now call this whether. In case it doesn't have token, then you're going to tell the user that there's no token in here, and this token or this API needs to be called using the token. Okay, then here after calling this, we're going to check the response. Is the response, we're going to check if it is equal to unauthorized. If it doesn't have token, then we're going to check, going to return unauthorized, isn't it? So here the response in here, we're going to check if it is true, meaning it is unauthorized. Then we want to get a refresh token. Or if a token is added and I still get a call and I return 401, we want to check this is going to become what? This will become true, and you want to get a refresh token. So call this method. Now see, if I come to get refresh token, it's going to populate this, then send to the API, read the response, set it again. So now we have this constant value or property here, value set. So when you call this itself again, it's going to call this method again, and then this method is also call this method. That's the parent method, and now when it checks in here, you're going to see that the value will be there. So it will skip this and add to the header. It returns up, and I'm going to make a call. Since you're going to have an active or the current token, this one will have the unauthorized. It's going to be false. If it is false, then read response or read the content and I return in the form of a list. So anytime or any method that you create, this is what you need to call. You need to just call this, check it up and call, and that is all. Use this and you move forward. Okay, so this method can be used for any other API call that you're going to be using. You see? Good. So that is exactly what we are doing in here. Alright, so when we save this, and what left for us to do again? Okay, so let's put a breakpoint. So where is going to make the call? We're also going to check this. Okay, then here, meaning when the token expires, you're going to call this. If it doesn't expire, then you're going to call this. Let's see. Alright, so let's log in and see. So after logging in, we have to see weather forecast in here, and anytime that we click on it to make a call, yes, so we have weather forecast and we have logout. So you can see our welcome string, our string, and that's what we use. So welcome. Now this is a weather forecast. So as soon as I click on this, you can see that here a call is being made. Now let's click on continue, and let's see. Yes, so it's going to check. It is false, right? So is it equal to unauthorized? No, it is false. Then it's going to return the list of employees. There's our employees, the list of weather forecast. Yeah, so you see we have this. So it means that the token here, it is added to the header, and that's the reason why we can make a call with this. Okay, if I click on this again, click on the same weather, and let's see, is it going to check what is the status here? It is still okay. So I'm going to pause this video. So click on continue. I'm going to pause this video and I'll wait for some time. Then we come back and I'll see if there's any response. So we're going to have 401 when the token expires. Then we can check if the refresh token will work. So I'll keep trying. So keep trying yours. And let's see. Let's see if we're going to hit this point. Then we can now call the refresh token and move on. Hey, okay, so unfortunately I couldn't click on that button with you guys because I kept trying, and I got it. So you can see from this endpoint, you see the status code here is 401, and when it checks here, you're going to return true. And if it's true, then you have to execute this, isn't it? Now, before we go on, let's go to the solution, go to the constant here. And that is where we have the JWT. Let's put a breakpoint so we can retrieve the old value for this token. Click on continue. And we are in. If I hit the cursor, you can see there is the O token. So let's grab this. It ends with RM. I'm going to open Notepad in here so we can just paste this and then cross-check the new one which going to be created for us. So I'm going to put it here, and I believe you can see as you can see from here, isn't it? Good. This is the old one. Now let's click on continue, and yeah, so continue from here. Okay, so we've called this method, and I will call this method again from here. So this is the point that is. Click on continue, and now let's check it out. So if I click on this, you can see now the status here is 200. It is set, isn't it? Now let's click on continue, and gonna have the data. Are we having? Okay, seems like we're not having the data from this endpoint, isn't it? Let's check it out. Oh, okay, it seems like we have a breakpoint. Yeah, that's a breakpoint. So we have a new token. Let's copy this. Now let's compare with the old one that we have and see if they are the same or not. So I'm going to paste this here. Now with the same J, let's put a breakpoint. And I'm going to see we have a new token, isn't it? So this is a MWWRM, this is a SONU. Alright, so click on continue. And finally, you can see we have the data in here. You see that? So this means our first token is working. We have a new token created in here. If I click on this inspect element from the network tab, since it's a server here, you're not going to see the call is going to be made in here. But trust me, the token has been received and it has been added, and that is exactly what we are doing. So you can see from here, you can see now it's skipping all this since you have a new token which is not expired yet. Good. So our first token system is working perfectly. Yes. Alright. So the next one that we're going to do here is, what is it? Which one? We have one left, isn't it? And that is a role-based authorization. So here, I want this to be accessed only by the admin. If you are logged in and you are a normal user, you cannot have access to this unless the administrator. The logout system is also working, and you can see it is you are logged out. Okay, so let's have a way to implement this as well. So let's close this up, and we can stop this breakpoint because we have achieved the aim of putting this breakpoint, isn't it? Yes, we've done that. Okay, so yes. Okay, so very small code. Alright, so that is it. Let's work on the next one. So before we can do this is what we want to do. You know, we don't want to expose our registration system to the public that anybody can just register. If you want to do that, then you have to assign the role automatically in the code. But here, let's assume you're creating a system for a company, and it is only administrators who can add employees. They can sign up you, and now they can create a default password for you. Later on, you can now change the password, right? And now during your account creation, they assign a role to you. And that's going to be the default role that they're going to assign to you. It could be an admin, it could be administrator, it could be any user, any role at all. That is what you want to use. You know, there are several use cases that you can implement it. So here we want to use like a company whereby the administrator, it is creating an employee. So when creating adding an employee, you're supposed to add your name, your email address, and it may be going to assign a role to you, right? You can decide to also skip the role, or you can decide to also assign a role to you, the user as well. So that's what we want to do. So before we do that, we need to update the model. Then we can perform database migration to update the table column as well. So check up from the models folder, and in that we have an application user. So we have password. We want to add another one. So let's say this is role. Okay. Now, once you have it, means that we have to update our DTO as well, and that's going to be the registered DTO. So instead of this confirm password, we're going to say role. Now, this role could be null because it could be a normal person whereby the admin doesn't want to assign a role to. So we're going to have a default role as null. It's not mandatory to assign a role. Okay, so once you have this, it tells you that you need to perform database migration so we can update the row, isn't it? Let's do that before you and I, we forget it. So go to Package Manager Console, and in here, we can say that add migration, update table row, and let's add a migration. Since the file has been created already, it's going to run it, and I'll add only the specific column that we are specified to the account or the user table. Then we update it to get it created. Okay, so we have filled. Let's build this manually and see the reason why it is filling. Okay, so register DTO does not implement this confirm password, and that's true. So here it is having a row property that we need to. So we don't want to add any confirm password because the admin is going to create a default row, a default password for the user. So we have this. I think everything is going to be solved. So let's build it again. And that is it. It is built. Okay, so add migration, update table, and this must add the row or the table, row column to the table. Okay. Oh, I said it, row. Let's update it. Updated. Alright, so it is done. You can just close this. And the next thing that we're going to do here is we go to the solution. Then let's check the interface or the implementation where we are creating the token. From the token generation, we need to also provide the row as what claims. So we can just do it. But before we do that, you know, the custom, where is it? This application user has it, isn't it? So let's make a copy here. Then claim types dot row. We can get it from this user type dot row. Okay, so we have this. So before or after the creation of the token, you're going to have row also inclusive. All right, now we're done. We have to save the row. So let's say this is also row, and it's equal to model.row. What let's want to do when preparing the token, the custom save this can be found in the custom JWT or decrypt JWT service that we created. You know, it returns a custom user claims. So from the constant decrypt JWT service, it returns this. So here we have to extract the claims or the row. So we say this is row and claim times dot what row. We can extract that. We have to make this available in this class. So let's go to definition, and in here let's add string. We say row, and this equal to null for the stats. Let's make this r. Yes, this is set. Let's go to the custom auth state, and here we're gonna set the claim, right? So when setting the claim principal, we have to also add the row. So here we say row. You see, good. So it means that you have to clear the content and now create new. Because when you go to the SQL Server, Object Explorer, let's have a look on the table. So desktop, database, and it is, what is even the name? JWT Blazor Server DB. Yeah, I think it is this one. So from tables, we must have a user table. Okay, so there's one. if I click on view data, the row column is empty or is null. Okay, so I'm not sure it is this one. Let's check it out from the app.setting.json. It is demo Blazor server db. So demo Blazor server db, this one. So tables, then okay, so this one. So you can see you have the row and nothing is here. So let's delete these two records. Alright, so delete it. Now anytime that you try to register, it's going to be added in here. Let's run this and see. Let's register a new user. So this is going to be the name here, and I'm going to say this is Netcode-Hub v1. That's the version 1, and this is going to be an admin, right? We're going to say admin@admin.com. Password is string, as you know. And the row here, I'm going to say this is admin. So click on register, and then this must be registered. Let's wait. Yes, success. That's fine. Let's add another one. This is v2, and here it is user. Here it is an admin, one@admin. Password is still string, and our row here it is not admin, it's going to be user. Click on register and succeeded. So let's go to the database, refresh this, and you have to see the rows and everything here. Yes, we have it. So admin row and then the user row. You can see that. Good. So once we are in here, we go to log in, and now once you log in, it must pick the row here, and I'll try to check it out, or try to convert this into a token. Then we can now go to JWT.io and I'll try to check it out. Before we do that, when you go to the account interface, we're getting the claims from here, and that's what you're using to populate or to create a JWT token, right? So you have the row, email, and then the name as well. Okay, now let's have a look. So we're going to log in, and we're going to use admin@admin.com, right? Do you remember this? This is an administrator. So click on login. Now we have an error here, right? So let's see the reason why we're having this error. From the console, it is saying that there was an unhandled exception, the current circuit. This current circuit will be terminated. To see this, you show this through in the app settings, then we can. Okay, so let's see from the call that it's going to make. From the login call, where is it? So we have this user service, user account service, and now here we having the login. So this is a login, returns this. Okay, when you go to the login page, login components. Oh, like not the DTO. It's supposed to be the component, and I'm opening the DTO. From the login page, we provide this. We call the service in here. But I know from this update authentication state, we're passing in the token, isn't it? Good. Now, in passing the token, the token must contain the claims, and the claims supposed to be the name, the email, and the row. Let's go to the custom auth state, and that is where we call this update. Is a token. We get the claims from this token, so get claim principal here, and now from this we're going to decrypt the token, and I get the claims. So with this method, decrypt token service, we get a token, then we're going to get the claims from here. That's going to be the row. After getting the row, you know we are not specifying the row in here. So the row is going to be null. And in that case, we're going to have an issue here, unless maybe you handle that with try catch block. But since you know what we're doing, we can decide to skip that try catch and are passing this in here. let's save this and let's reload this and see. We're gonna try this once more. Before we log in here, I'd like us to put a breakpoint so we can get the token, and I'll check from the JWT.io. So from the constant, you know, this is gonna handle the token for us. Constant, where is it? Solution from here. Constant, that is this one. Then let's put a breakpoint so we can retrieve the token. Okay. Now let's go in and check. So you log in, admin, and now the password is string. Click on login, and now this must work. So let's see. Yeah, so you can see we are hit. Now if I click on this, you see this is a token. So let's copy this. Okay, now we have this here. We're going to remove all this. Then with this token, we're going to take this. Let's go to JWT.io and now check the claims in here. So we are in, and now let's paste the token in here, and now have a look. The row is what? This is the name, Netcode-Hub v1 admin, and I'll check there is an email. Now check the row. You can see the row here, it is admin, right? So this is also working. All right, now let's click on continue. We can remove this breakpoint. Now let's see. So you can see that here we are logged in, isn't it? Now we have admin, and now we have welcome. So we can just go to weather forecast, and we're gonna have the data in here. But let's try to navigate from this. We want to show admin. Only admin can have access to this, right? Let's do that. If I log this out and I log in again, let's admin the admin one. This is the user, so string, let's log in, and you can see this admin still sees this. That is a version 2, you see, but you can still, as a user, but you can still see this. So let's handle that. Here, if this try to make a request, how it's going to work? Let's go to the service. We go to our controller. From here, solution, go to the account controller. Okay, have you found yours? This is mine. Okay, now on top of this weather forecast here, we can specify the rows here, and now these rows we're saying only admin can have access to. So let's save this. Let's run this again. We log in as a user, we call this endpoint, and now let's see. So we are protecting the back end but not the front end. When we are done with this, we also protect the front end, and then the app becomes what? Compact, isn't it? Okay, so let's wait for this to get loaded, then we check it out. Let's log in. So remember, it's an admin 1 as user. Then let's log in. So with this, we can go to developer tool, F12, or right click here. We go to the inspect. When calling this API endpoint, we're not going to see the network. If not, it could have been here. If I click on this weather forecast, let me clear this. Oh, again. Oh, it's a still come, right? Okay, so if I click on this weather, is it still there? Are you coming again? Okay, hey, it's still coming. I don't mind. Let's click on this weather forecast, and I can see it is calling this. Here, then they're going to have an issue here. Let's see. So fetch, we have failed. Let's see, can we have, we are not having the endpoint here, but it is failed. If I put a breakpoint here to the account service, do you know where your account service is? Yes, so this is mine. If I put a breakpoint here, that is to get this. Then from here, I'm going to put this breakpoint. You're not going to have 401. You're going to be 403. That is forbidden. Okay. Now let's have a look again. So I'm going to navigate to this component, close this up, then click on this again. Now here, click on next, and now let's see. It is 403, and that is forbidden. Have you found that? This means that the person is authenticated, but the person here, the person I'm talking about, it is you. You are not allowed, since you have a user, since you have a role of a different role from what they expect. This expect was an admin role. All right. So now, how do we introduce an admin role to suit this use case? It's a very simple one. Let's continue with this. So from here we go to our nav menu, and that's where we have our links. So you want to hide this from the user. So if you are admin, get hidden. If you are user, get hidden. If you are admin, get shown, right? So from the authorized view, we can also specify roles here. So we are protecting both the back end and the front end. Then this row we're going to say admin. Now let's save this. And now let's run this again. So save everything from here. Now let's run this. So now we've updated the front end. We also have the back end also updated. And now let's see how it's going to be done. Okay, so we are going to log in. Let's see for the first one, admin 1, as you know, for user, isn't it? Click on login. And if I log in, I'm not going to see weather forecast because I'm a user and you can't see it. Let's see. You can see I have a logout, right? So I can see register login home. Now where is weather forecast? It's off. Click on logout. Yes. Now let's log in again. And in here, admin, the password is string, and I log in again. And now let's see. We have it. It's not beautiful. It's not nice. Yes, it is. You see, so if I click on that forecast, oh, I have it, and it's working. That is it for this video. If you haven't subscribed to this, please do so. Like this video as well. You can support this by buying us a coffee, and I would love to. I'll love you forever. All right. So thank you so much for watching. I believe this content is going to help you, and I plan to also come out with JWT authentication using cookie. That's a customized one. You're not going to use an individual account. You're going to create our own customized one using Identity Manager. So it's going to be JWT Authentication using Identity Manager. This, we implemented our own system, but the next one we're going to talk about maybe using the Microsoft Identity Manager in there, and I'll show you how to also work with it in Blazor Server.NET 8 with interactive server render mode. Thank you for watching, and I'm going to catch you up again. Till then, take care.